Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I'm super happy to have you here with me today. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a full farm and garden tour. It has been quite a while since I put out regular content here on YouTube, so I thought this would be a really good way to remind you what we have going on here, show you all the new things we have going on for those of you that have been here before, and to introduce those of you that are new here to my channel to our farm. We live on 160 acres. It's a small ranch in the interior British Columbia, Canada, and I garden in a zone 3B. Our frost dates are generally around the end of May, and then we get frost again the end of August, beginning of September. So it's a pretty short, intense growing season. We grow all of our own meat here on our farm, our own eggs, our own dairy, and a large percentage of our fresh vegetables throughout the summertime, and then all of our root vegetables throughout the winter. What we're gonna do is start over in the garden. I'm going to show you everything we have there, and then we'll move over into the farmyard. It has been unseasonably cold here this spring. I start most of my seedlings in this little greenhouse that you can see behind me here. I had to run 2 heaters full out just to keep this warm enough, and then when I moved my tomatoes and my peppers down into my high tunnel, which I'll show you in a minute, I did it, I think it was a full 2 weeks later than I had last year, and I still ended up losing 31 tomato plants to a really cold night, even with heaters going in that high tunnel. So it has been tough to say the least. The other thing that happened, and I'll show you this over here, which was very unusual, is I harden off most of my plants on the north side of my greenhouse. Hardening off means to adapt the plants that were in the greenhouse to the outdoor temperatures, the wind, the direct sunlight, and all of that. And it usually takes me about a week. So I did that as I usually do. And then I planted out my brassicas, my broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and all of those into the main garden. Do you see this sunburned, scalded, unhappy leaf? What happened was I hardened them off as I always do, but it was very overcast and has been overcast most of the spring. Planted everything out on an overcast day, which I usually do. It was overcast for a week, and then the sun came out. And even with all of that hardening off, I still ended up with sunburn on a lot of my brassicas. They are coming back, but what I'm worried about happening now is that because they were under so much stress, that they're going to end up sending out little teeny tiny heads, which are called button heads. I've had this happen once before during a really cold spring, and then that's all you end up getting. You never get really nice big heads, and that would be really unfortunate. But I mean, I guess little heads are better than no heads. Okay, let's head down to the high tunnel and I'll show you what I have going on there. Oh, before I do that, let me show you this. Because of our super cold season, I don't usually grow a ton of corn, but my kids really wanted me to grow corn this year. So I started them in these trays because it's been too cold, the soil's been too cold, and they wouldn't have germinated. And I'll be transplanting these along with these pretty scarlet runner beans into the main garden. Now, normally I wouldn't recommend this because both beans and corn don't like to have their roots disturbed, and they usually don't love to be transplanted, but I'm going to be very, very gentle and very careful. It was either that or not get any at all. Okay, into the high tunnel. If you are familiar with my high tunnel, you'll notice something a bit different this year, and that's that I mulched with sedge grass hay in the high tunnel. Last year we had an incredible heat wave, and the temperatures went over 50 degrees in here, and it dried out really, really, really fast. So I used mulch this year in anticipation of potentially having another hot summer, although it doesn't seem like that it's going to be that way right now, in hopes that I can help the plants both keep their roots a little bit cooler and also so that I don't have to water so much. This is one of the little tomato plants that froze. As you can see here, crispy leaves. Pull all these ones off actually. And I did replace all the other tomatoes that froze, but I did not get enough to fill the entire bed. So I just decided I would leave this because, as you can see here, there is some new shoots growing out the side. The rest of the tomatoes are starting to look healthy again. As you can see, the lower leaves are not looking fantastic, but all of the new growth is looking really good. Nice dark green and healthy. Because I'm planting the same thing in my high tunnel year after year, tomatoes and peppers, I need to amend my beds, and I amend these with azomite and with Gaia green fertilizer. I'll show you that over here. And then I also top dress with my own manure compost. Alrighty, this is Gaia green 444 all-purpose, really good fertilizer. And so I made sure that I gave everything a really good feed, and I'll do the same again probably in about a month. My peppers are starting to look a little bit better than they were, and as you can see, I do have a pepper growing on here. And over here, a few little tomatoes. I'm definitely not going to be getting early tomatoes the way that I did last year. I started all of my tomatoes a full 2 weeks earlier than I had in previous years last year, and that worked out really well because we had a warm spring and I was able to get tomatoes weeks ahead of what I had the year before. The reason that I wanted to do this is because we have such a short season and nighttime temperatures start cooling off quite a bit even in August. It usually stunts the growth of my tomatoes and I don't get a lot of production on them, so I like to push it earlier in the springtime so I get more of those hot summer temperatures to try to produce as many tomatoes as I can. This year that was a complete fail, and it ended up causing extra stress to my tomatoes because by the time I got them in the high tunnel, they were really root bound and just weren't doing great. And then again, like I said, I lost over 30 of them. But that's kind of the way it goes in gardening. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some. One of the cool new additions to the high tunnel this year, I'm just going to open up this back door because it is starting to heat up quite a bit in here. When we first put up this high tunnel, Dad did make me roll up sides. They were homemade ones and they were really difficult for me to turn. And if I didn't hold on to it really tight, it could swing back and whack me in the face. So this year, I'm going to show you what we did. I just weed whacked here, so it's kind of messy, but we put up these roll up sides and these are so fantastic. I can do it with one hand without whacking myself in the face. And these sides roll up about to here, which allows it to stay much cooler in the high tunnel in the heat of the summer. The only thing that we need to do to modify this a little bit is, as you can see, as I turn the handle, I hit the ground, so I have to actually pull it out for the first couple of turns. So we need to dig a little bit of a hole here so that I can turn this handle easily. But I'm super happy with these. My goodness, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous day today, and our hay is starting to come up. So our property goes to this back line right here, this fence line that you can see back here. This is our hay field, and then it goes way back to where that hill is right there. So this is the area that we hay. It's about, I think it was about 30 acres or so. And then the rest of our property is up here on the mountain, hence the name of the ranch. I still have, like I showed you earlier, the corn that I need to plant out. I have some choy, some lettuces, some herbs, and some flowers that I still need to get planted out into the garden. But everything else is pretty much in. My garlic is looking good this year. I planted way more varieties of garlic. And when we get to the point of harvesting, I'll bring you guys along with me for that and show you everything that we planted. And this year, the other thing that we did new in the garden this year is we did not till our garden. I have been talking for years about transferring our garden from being a tilled garden to a no-till garden. And the reason for that is that soil is a very complex organism and there's a lot of life in it, and when you run your tiller through it, you actually kill a lot of that, which is why we're constantly having to amend our soils all the time. But I have to be honest and say that I really missed having the freshly tilled, weed-free, grass-free garden in the spring. And because my garden is next to our hay field, we get a lot of seed blowing in from there. And as you can see in my pathways, I already have lots of grass coming up. My plan is actually just to keep the pathways all weed whacked down and mowed down, and keep the garden beds themselves clean of weeds and then well mulched. But this is a trial, so we'll see how it goes this year. Maybe the weeds are just going to be completely out of control and I'm going to hate it, but I had to try. Okay, now over to the forest garden. Look at the raspberries that I planted last year. They look absolutely incredible. So excited about these. And this year is the first year that my Juliet cherry tree actually bloomed. Oh my gosh, I think I see a honeybee. Hold on one sec. You guys, that little honeybee right there, I don't know if you could see it. That is the first honeybee I have seen this year. I lost all my hives this year, as did many local beekeepers, because of the crazy cold weather. Actually, all the way across Canada, there was lots of bee loss. And we do have some wild hives around here, and I have been watching for bees for weeks, and I have not seen a single honeybee. Seeing that little tiny bee there brings my heart so much joy. I am getting 2 hives, and they're actually local hives from a local beekeeper, which is great, which means they're adapted to our climate better than ones I would import in from other places. I'm really hoping, with her help, along with another friend of mine, his name's Tim, who's a really good beekeeper as well, I'll be able to give my bees the best chance to survive this coming up winter. Look at all these cherry blossoms. This is so exciting. Lots of bumblebees this year, actually, more bumblebees than usual. But we are definitely going to have cherries and apples. Look at these beautiful flowers. I wish you guys could smell this. They smell absolutely amazing. We're in the forest garden right now, and one of the things that I did do, which I've been talking about for a long time, is mulch my beds with wood chips. We did end up getting a wood chipper last year. Making wood chips is incredibly time consuming and kind of a pain in the butt, and also a little bit scary with the big wood chipper that goes on the back of my tractor. So it's been a very slow process. We just have this bottom bed done and then half of the next bed up, and we still have that whole one. You can see all the grass in it. That's the reason why I'm wanting to mulch it. I've had this absolutely filled to bursting with beautiful wildflowers for the last, this is the 4th year of the forest garden. So for the last 4 years. And that looks absolutely beautiful, but the couch grass, we call it couch grass. I think it's also called quack grass in other places, but it's absolutely taken over the beds. So mulching it with landscape fabric and with these wood chips was basically the only solution, unless I wanted to be pulling grass out for the rest of my life. I planted this 3 years ago now, I think. This is a sea buckthorn, and it was only that big when I planted it. And now it is over 6 feet tall, looking beautiful. And my elderberries are also growing super well. This is a Bob Gordon elderberry, and it does well in the north. The one issue that I have had is that it doesn't like the cold temperatures at the end of August in the evening. So I didn't get a ton of berries, plus the birds love it. So I'm going to have to cover it if I want to get berries, but you can still make some yummy things out of the flowers. Okay, so the forest garden that we were just in is over here. This is the main garden, goes like this over to here. And then the high tunnel is right down there. And there's just some steps that go down right here to get to the high tunnel. Good morning. These guys are just here for my entertainment. They're so cute. And then up over here, we have the onion, potato, and carrot garden. The potatoes are back over here, carrots up here, and then this is onions here. This is one of our rabbit tractors. And we have, you guys are so cute. These are just pets. My kids absolutely love their bunnies. This works really well because we can move them around onto fresh grass every day, and it does have wire on the bottom so they can't dig out. There is our chicken coop up there. A lot of our outbuildings were built back in the 1920s, 1930s or so, which is awesome because they were built to withstand our cold winters. So this chicken coop is log on this side, and then it has a covered run. And then they have their big run over here so they can be outside. I let them free range once the produce is in off the garden. We have our pig pen, and our pigs are going out on pasture as well. Oh, and we have these cute little chicks, which this mama hatched out. Hi, mama. Hatched out a couple of weeks ago, and they look fantastic. They just free range around the farm. So this pen here, this is our pig pen, and then this area down here is the pig pasture, and I just have to run the hot wire. I was just waiting for the weeds to get big enough to make it worthwhile to put them back out on. So we have 4 young ones, and then we have our sow right back here. Hello guys, this is our goat pen. We have a bottle lamb that we got in the spring. Hi. This girl is 10 and she is just living out her days. She's a sweetheart. This is one of our new goats. She is a milk goat and she is a sweetheart too. This little guy right here, his name is Frederick, and he is a bottle Holstein steer that we bought in the spring because we had extra milk, and he's basically just a big baby, aren't you, buddy? This is our north pasture out here, and this up over this way is our summer pasture for our horses and our cows. And this morning when we went out to get our cow that we're milking right now, we found that our other milk cow had her baby, so I wanted to show you that. And last night actually, when my husband and I went for our walk, I looked up on the hill way up over here and I saw Ember standing there, and I said to my husband, you know, she has that baby look about her. But then I saw one of the other cows come up beside her and she was just eating, so I thought, must have been wrong. But apparently I was right. Now, where is she hiding? Ah, there she is, way up over there. Now, the question is, does she have her calf hidden? Usually for about the first week, they will hide their calves and actually get quite far away from them to eat, and that's just a way to help keep them safe. And so it is possible that we won't actually be able to see her calf, but hopefully. Oh, you good girl. Where's your baby? I think that I may bring her up and milk out a little bit of this milk because she is so full. That has got to be uncomfortable. I am so sorry. I was really hoping I would be able to show you the new calf, but he is hidden and I cannot find him, which means she's doing her job. When I first got cows, whenever they would disappear like this, I would freak out and send everyone out and we would all go try to find it. But I have been doing this for long enough now that I know the calf is just fine and she's just doing her job. This little girl is one of our calves from earlier in the spring. So pretty. We got 3 heifers this year and 1 steer. Hi, pretty girl. You're beautiful. I'm making up for lost time by making a really long video. I think my last video was only about 4 minutes long, so this one is making up for that. All right, my friends, that is it for me today. I hope that you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.